Ready, everybody ready? We boring you, Matthew? I'm just kidding. Okay. Uh, okay. I think we got everybody. Yep. Okay, now remember I told you that you cannot use a full PowerPoint in this speech, right? So we don't want the whole speech. The big block is going to be your PowerPoint, and you're over here in the corner the whole time we can't even see you. Okay? That's not the vibe for this speech, right? At all. Okay. Now, I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. Now, all of this is in this instructions. All of this is what's in the instructions. I hope everybody read them, right? Okay. You're going to get, you can have ask up to 3 questions. The group needs to be ready to answer questions on your topic, okay? Um, you'll get 2.5 points for extra credit for relevant questions. Like, don't just ask something that is not relevant, okay? Ask a relevant question. Um, I think I may have written in some of your speaking outlines that you needed 3 visuals. You need 5 visuals for this speech, okay? 5 visuals for this. Some of you did not include the visuals in your speaking outlines, and I took off for that because it clearly tells you, give me your speaking outline and your visuals. Whatever visual you're using, everybody needs to have a visual. So I don't want just one person giving the visuals. Now, one person can show the visuals, but whoever is speaking needs to tell us about that visual. You need to explain your visuals. That's why you have them up there. Okay? So remember, just pictures of something with that really means nothing. How are you going to explain? What are you going to say? Oh, yeah, this is a picture of a cell phone. Right? Now, here's the other thing, and I told you last week. I don't know how interested we're going to be after the first speech, especially after the second speech, because everybody did the same speech. That's all. Is that all that's on your mind? I'm looking back, and it appears that that's all you want to talk about. Technology. That's it. Like, oh, Apple Watch, Apple phone, social media. That's all you're talking about. Is that everything that's in your life? There's so many things you can talk about. And I wonder, because that's all you want to talk about? Are you taking your own advice? You all say, don't be on that screen time. Cut that screen time. Is that what you're doing? Because it seems like it's top on your minds. Top on your minds. Right? You are telling us, mostly everybody is telling us, you shouldn't stay on social media too much. Don't you say that in your speeches? You shouldn't be on social media so much. Find something else to talk about. Okay? Find something else to do. Don't let social media, this is what I'm getting from you. Don't let social media take over your life. It's a lot more things out here in the world to do than to be on social media. And don't just believe everything you see. The research is extremely important. Some of you, I don't know what research are you actually doing. You're not even talking about it properly. So this is important going forth in life. Don't believe everything somebody says or you see, or check it out. Make sure it's correct. Go back and listen to those videos that I gave you. If you want me to send it to you, I will. About how do you research information? How do you check to see what someone is saying to you is true? You can't just make statements of your opinions. It's not persuading people. It's just your opinion. Like, okay, that's your opinion. But when you tell me that, several experts in the field have done the research and I reviewed it and I'm bringing that to you, now you'll be more convincing. You'll be more persuasive because personal anecdote information is not appropriate for an extemporaneous speech. That means you researched it. You can't remember that from like day 2 where we said that this class we're going to do extemporaneous speeches. Okay, where we practice, rehearse, it's carefully outlined and researched. All of that goes with your speeches. So we get nothing else out of this class. We get nothing else out of this class. Okay? Remember about the importance of checking out information that you receive because it could change your life following misinformation. It could change your life. And there's a lot of misinformation on social media. A lot of misinformation on social media. And you know it too. You know it. So just be mindful. Don't fall into these traps of, just not working, not letting that brain work, using the computer, AI, and all to work for you. Yeah, AI is good. It helps. You need to know it. You need to use it when you can, but it's not end all and tell all. You got to also have a brain. Okay. Something the AI does not always have. AI doesn't know that Professor Utley said she wants this, and in this format, in this way, she has to have it like this. AI doesn't know that. You ask AI for a speech, it's going to give you a speech. But it might not be the speech in the method and manner in which I told you it should be done. That just remember that. Don't be lazy. That's what I call lazy. And then you're gonna get a lazy brain. It's not gonna work well for you. Going forward. I know you're young. You know, this is what everybody's doing, But at some point, you do have to work. All right, that's enough. We're going to now give our speeches. Does anyone have any questions or comments? And please listen carefully and ask intelligent questions about your classmates, because some of you did do a lot of work and research. So we want to make sure that we know what we're doing. Right? Okay. Doesn't seem like you have any questions. Let's get started. And we are going to start with number group 1. So group 1 is Linton, Matt, and Khadijah. Matt, Linton, and Khadijah. All right, we're ready.
Okay. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Have you ever opened TikTok just to watch a video and somehow an hour goes by? Instead of feeling relaxed, you end up feeling more tired, more stressed, maybe even a little anxious. For not of college students, this isn't unusual. It's just part of the daily routine now. We hardly notice it anymore. We started thinking about this. What is social media actually doing to us? So we look at recent research and our own experience. And what we found is pretty clear. Excessive social media use harms college students' mental health, academic performance, sleep, and even our relationships. Today, we're going to walk through 3 major areas and see how excessive social media affects our daily lives. Let's begin with the first one, mental health.
For mental health, in 2024, a study published in the International Journal of College Health found that heavy social media use is strongly linked to increased anxiety and depression among all college students. The more time we spend scrolling, the more we expose ourselves to pressure, unrealistic standards, and constant stimulation that our minds aren't meant to process nonstop. As a result, many students experience higher levels of stress and emotional exhaustion. You may not notice it right away, but over time, it starts to feel like you're always mentally drained, even when you haven't done anything physically demanding. One of the biggest reasons for this is comparison. Social media often shows us like a highlight reel of people posting their best moments, their achievements, and like their successful lives. But what we don't see are their struggles, failures, or behind the scene reality. This creates an unfair comparison that can lower self esteem and make us feel like we are not doing enough. For example, you could be having a perfectly fine day, but after scrolling for just a few minutes on social media, you might start to feel insecure or like you're falling behind others. The small feeling of doubt may seem self harmless at first, but it builds over time and can turn into something much more serious. Another factor is the fear of missing out, also known as FOMO. When we constantly see others socializing, succeeding, or having fun, it can create anxiety and make us feel excluded, even when that perception isn't accurate. The real problem is that these effects don't just disappear when we put our phones down. They accumulate day after day, slowly affecting our mood, confidence, and overall sense of well being. If we don't recognize these patterns, they can quietly take a toll on our mental health. Now that we understand how excessive social media use impacts mental health, let's take a look how it affects academic performance.
Linton, you're muted.
Sorry. No. Let's take a look at another major impact, academic performance. One of the biggest problems is how often we get interrupted. Every time a notification pops up, even if we don't open it, our attention still shifts. According to the Pew Research Center, many colleges students spend 2 or more hours a day on social media, and the studies show that this level of use hurts learning. Once we lose focus, it doesn't come back quickly. Research shows it takes about 23 minutes to refocus after just one interruption. Over time, these small interruptions add up, and they make school work much harder to manage. As you can see, learning infection dropped by about 38% when studies with social media. So, as we've seen, social media doesn't just waste time, it makes learning harder.
Excessive social media use disrupts sleep and weakens real life relationship. Research from the 2025 Journal of Behavioral Health by Abdullahi Rahman and Lee shows that using social media late at night delay melatonin release, leading to poor sleep quality. That lacks of sleep then lead that that lack of sleep then affects mood, memory, and academic performance. At the same time, many students begin prioritizing online interaction over face to face communication, which weakens their real life relationship. Over reliance on social media also reduce interpersonal communication skills, making in person conversation feel awkward or superficial. For example, a student who scroll until 2 a.m. may wake up exhausted and avoid social interaction the next day. One simple action students can take to improve sleep is setting a digital cut-off time at least 30 minutes before bed, giving the brain time to wind down and allow the melatonin to rise naturally. In conclusion, excessive social media use harms college students' mental health, academic success, sleep quality, and generally relationship. From both research and real life experience, it is clear that spending too much time on online creates more harm than we often recognize. What we choose to believe about our daily habits shape how we experience college life. Social media will always be there, but our well being, academic performance, sleep, and real connection matter far more.
Okay. You? All right. You guys have one visual. It's supposed to have five, right? So that's that. All right, we're ready for the questions. You'll put us back in the should know the answers because everybody did the same topic. It was a little different. Questions. No extra credit. I told you this is part of the assignment. Nobody wants extra credit. What's the matter? No, what's the matter? Communicate. This is communications class.
I'll ask a question.
Okay, good. Let's go.
Yeah, so my question is, if I am a content creator in my job and I earn money off of making content on social media, and I also, I'm a student in school, and how do I balance my job as a content creator and school at the same time?
Somebody from the group answer the question. Oh,
Like time management. Because I'm not gonna lie, I content create myself. So what I do is I just have really good time management. Like I take time to focus on the content creating. Like I usually do it from like 8 p.m. to like midnight, but then the rest of my time I just focus on school, like focus on my classes and like doing my schoolwork. So I would just say like the main thing is just like time management for that.
did that make sense to you, Sarchi?
Yeah, that makes sense. Good.
I think you all did. I recall Khadijah was saying other things you can do too. Khadijah, did you want to add to that question?
Yes, I wanted to say time management, like Matthew said, and also when we were talking about social media use, we were really talking about people who were content creators. We were talking about like students who scroll throughout the night. So that's a little bit different from what we were talking about. But if you're creating content, that's different because that's like work. So you set a time, you know the time you create content and the time you study so that it doesn't distract each other.
Good answer. I was thinking that too, like they weren't really talking about content creators. It's just talking about just a regular everyday person, right? Using it. But I like that answer where if you're creating content, it's basically a job, right? Basically doing it because you may be getting paid for it in some way. Um, so yeah, when you go to work, you set a certain amount of hours for your work. So I guess balance, uh, equal balance of time spent on things. But if it's your work, then you might need to spend 8 hours on it. Unless it's a part-time job, then maybe you only need 4 hours. Any other questions? I know it's hard because you already did, you all had the same topic, but no more questions? Okay, we can move on to group 2. Good questions. Let me put you in the speaker view. Um, all right, group 2 is Sadie and Sarchi. That sounds like a duo. Tag team.
Cast your mind back to the first moments of your day. Did you wake up and stretch? Take a deep breath, maybe? Get up and immediately brush your teeth? Or did you instinctively reach for your phone and get sucked into the ether of your screen? We spend more time on our screens now than ever before. We have the world at our fingertips, and this may seem like an advantage, but it comes at a cost to our mental health, our physical health, and our attention spans. Our understanding of the implications of excessive screen time is constantly evolving, but consistently shows that most of us are suffering the consequences of this habit. I, like many of my peers, have grown up in the digital age. Throughout most of our lives, there's always been some variation of digital entertainment that we consume on a daily basis. Whether that be watching TV or scrolling through Instagram, we've conditioned ourselves to fill our spare time with the consumption of digital media. And this may seem like a fun way to pass time, but research shows that its effects are more detrimental than we may have previously thought. So today we will be discussing many studies showing the harmful impacts of excessive screen time, first on our mental health, then our physical health, and finally, why we should be putting down our digital devices for some old-fashioned analog entertainment. First, for context, it's important to note that excessive screen time is an issue that can affect anyone. It affects the wealthy and impoverished, the college-educated and non-educated, people from huge cities to small rural towns. This habit does not discriminate. To better understand just how much we're being affected by our screen time, let's take a look at the impacts it has on our mental health. The excessive amount of time most people spend on their phones is extremely damaging to mental health. This may seem like a relatively obvious point. However, the studies imply that screen time has shocking, excuse me. This may seem like a relatively obvious point. However, the studied implications of screen time on mental health exhibit shocking connections between mental illness and screen time. A study done by the European Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, which is a reputable peer-reviewed medical journal, examined the symptoms of depression in relation to screen time. They studied the extent of depression symptoms compared to what type of digital media the participants were consuming, whether that be TV, computer, or phone use. And unsurprisingly, they found that phone use showed the strongest association with depression compared to other forms of digital media consumption. Interestingly, this study also noted that the symptoms of depression associated with phone use were far worse for girls compared to their boy counterparts. It's important to note that a wide array of factors play into these exacerbated symptoms of depression associated with phone use in young girls, such as the type of content consumed. Nonetheless, the link between excessive screen time and mental health struggles is undeniable. Additionally, PubMed Central, a reputable database organized by the U.S. National Library of Medicine, published a study in 2025 on phone screen time reduction and mental health outcomes. A randomized control trial showed the clear link between excessive screen time and higher levels of depression, anxiety, and stress. When participants in the trial decreased their screen time to under 2 hours daily, their mental well-being showed significant improvements as symptoms of depression and anxiety dropped by over 50%. In addition to this, a Gallup survey on adolescent health also notes the mental health problems associated with high screen time. They too found that increased screen time directly relates to increased feelings of sadness, suicidal thoughts, poor body image, and overall poor mental health. But why might this happen? The ways in which we consume digital media forces us into a trap of passive consumption. We can scroll endlessly through a feed curated to make you feel like you can't and maybe don't even want to escape your screen. The concerningly personalized algorithm and never-ending void of media is the perfect storm to force us into constantly distracting ourselves. And in staying distracted by our screens, we can be neglecting our processing our emotions. Given the glaring consequences of screen time on mental health, reducing screen time is a simple and effective way to improve your mental well-being.
Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Do you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
So the first visual aid shows that the percentage of teenagers ages 12 through 17 with 4 more hours of daily screen time by family income. The highest parental education and urbanization levels United States from July 2021 to December 2023. So the blue line shows less than 200 of federal poverty level, which is a 51.7. The second blue line shows a 200% of federal poverty level more, with a 49.6. The light blue line shows some college or less with a 55, and the second light blue line shows college degree or higher with a 45.2. The green line shows the metropolitan with a 51.4 and non-metropolitan with a 43.3. The second visual aid shows where Sadie was talking about the depression and anxiety, where the blue line shows less than 4 hours of depression symptoms, anxiety symptoms, and insufficient peer support, and infrequent social and emotional support. The orange shows more than 4 hours of depression symptoms, anxiety symptoms, insufficient peer support, infrequent social and emotional. Third visual aid shows that adolescents' mental health problems caused by screen time use. The red shows the suicidal or self-harm in the past year. Orange shows the poor body image. No, the light orange shows the poor body image. The orange shows the experienced a lot of sadness yesterday. And then the yellow shows poor/very poor mental health. And then the fourth visual aid is this. The blue line shows less than 4 hours of daily screen time of infrequent physical activity and frequent strength training and infrequently well rested, irregular sleep routine, and weight concerns. The orange shows more than 4 hours of infrequent physical activity and frequent strength training, infrequently well rested, irregular sleep routine, and weight concerns. But mental health isn't the only aspects of our lives being spoiled by excessive screen time. Our physical health is paying the price as well. Excessive screen time is shown to play a detrimental role in our physical health. One example of how screen time is having a pernicious effect on our physical health is that many people are forgoing time typically spent on physical activities to spend time online. This replacement of physical activity for sedentary phone use has many negative implications. Our cardiovascular systems play a great price for our sedentary habits. Sedentary behaviors are proven to drastically increase risk of obesity and hypertension, both of which are key cardiovascular morbidity risk. In addition to cardiovascular issues, obesity rates on the rise, especially in children and young adults, are largely attributed to many factors associated with excessive screen time. Reduced sleep time, physical inactivity, and exposure to certain types of popular advertisements have a detrimental effect on the dietary and lifestyle habits of individuals online. According to a study by the CDC on association between screen time and health outcomes, teens who spent more or 4 hours on screens had notable increase of infrequent physical activity and weight concerns compared to their peers who spent less than 4 hours on screens daily. It is undeniable that excessive screen time is a deeply unhealthy habit that is detrimental to our physical and emotional health. While screens may feel like they are taking over our lives, there are still many things we can do to get this toxic habit under control. Opting for analog entertainment rather than digital entertainment to help to litigate and minimize the effects the negative effects of excessive screen time. A study published by the National Library of Medicine in 2025 examined the correlation between digital media use and attention span. It shows that as screen time increased, attention span decreased, and symptoms of attention disorder such as ADHD worsened. This is not coincidental. This is cause and effect. To minimize these symptoms of excessive screen time, we must intentionally unplug, check your screen time report, and if it's over 4 hours, you are increased risk of these terrible effects we discussed. Make small changes like taking notes of which apps you spend the most time on and limit your screen time for those specific apps. Pick up a book you've been meaning to read. Get a physical book of crosswords to complete in your free time. Don't allow yourself to fall victim to the algorithm designed to keep you on your phone. Try digital detox. Any tactical activity will feel infinitely more rewarding than time spent on your phone. In summary, we must intentionally limit our screen time to improve our mental health, physical health, and methods of entertainment. The research we've discussed shows a clear link between screen time and mental and physical illness, which must be taken seriously. For the sake of our minds and bodies, we must limit our excessive screen time and make a conscious effort to return to analog entertainment. So tomorrow, when you wake up, instinctively reach for your phone. Remember that our devices should be enhancing our lives, not dictating them. Today, scrolling is the new smoking. Therefore, it is imperative that we all re-examine our relationship with our screens.
Okay. Two. I just want to make a comment on the visuals. Like I said before, the last group. Now, the visuals were good, right? However, the presentation of the visuals weren't as good. It was very small. We couldn't really read it or see it, right? So you have to be mindful of that when you put up a visual, that the audience can see it and they're not struggling to understand, because what that does is cause a distraction. Now we're not listening to you anymore, okay? We're focusing in on that visual that we can't really see, right? So we don't want to do that. We never want to get the person off of our attention. So you have to be mindful about that. Now, the other thing I would say about your visuals is, I mean, you explained them well. However, they should be shown at the time you're talking about it. Don't save all the visuals to discuss, because remember, the reason why you have the visual is to enhance the words, right, that you're speaking about. So when you're showing the visual, the words need to go with the visual. So make certain that at the time you're talking about the visual, you're showing it. Don't just save them all for just one talk about it, okay? They were good, but the manner in which you present it could use a little more improvement. Okay, questions. Questions.
I
Lynch. Oh, okay. Matt and then Lynch.
Do you think screen time could be beneficial for mental health? And if so, what situations do you think it can be?
I think it definitely has the potential to be. It's certainly a case to case basis, but I think overall it does more harm than good, but it can definitely be beneficial. For example, if people are struggling with something that they don't feel comfortable talking to people they know in real life about, they might be able to find community online, and in that case, it could be beneficial. But as we've discussed, I think more often than not, that's not how people are using social media and using their screens. So it's really is a double-edged sword. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned that reducing screen time can significantly lowering depression risk, right? But how can we tell whether our own phone use is already affecting our mental health?
Was your question was how can we tell that it's already affecting? So I think like as we've discussed, it's very nuanced, but um, the clear correlation is between the amount of time you're spending on your phone. So the studies that we've looked at and talked about showed just a 2 hour difference, people who spent less than 2 hours and people who spent 4 or more hours. And that was like a very dramatic gap, obviously, as you saw in the charts that we showed you and in the statistics we stated. So I think minimizing it as close to 2 hours as you can. Of course, our phones are so integrated into our lives, our screens are so integrated into our lives, but I just think the closer to zero that you can get is better.
So
Thank you.
explain that digital detox, I think was the name you gave it.
Thank you.
That would just be getting off of your phone whenever you don't need to be on your phone. So if you're not in communication with someone directly, if you're not on a phone call, if you're not sending messages, and you're just spending your spare time scrolling basically, or browsing the internet, watching TV, random YouTube videos that you won't remember, I think those are the things that we can forego to see the positive benefits that we are hoping for.
I want to say maybe sometimes we feel our lonely and we feel our sad. Yeah, I think it's mental health is harm. Yeah. Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any more questions? Okay, good, good. Alrighty now, last group. Thank you, group two, group one. Now we're at group three.
When was the last time you went a whole day without checking your cell phone? Many of us wake up and check our cell phones throughout the day. We're checking our cell phones. Before closing our eyes to go to sleep, we check our cell phones. Does that sound very familiar to you? If so, you may need to be aware that your excessive cell phone screen time should be limited. Time spent on your cell phone should be limited to improving your physical and mental health as well as your sleep patterns. We decided once our team was formed to check our cell phone screen time and to check to see how many hours a day we spend on our cell phones.
Oh, work day.
The results shocked us because it was excessively high. We then decided to take initiative and try to limit our screen time, as well as research this topic for our speech for articles and experts in the field. Does everybody see that? Just want to make sure. Today, we want to talk about why cell phone screen usage needs to be limited. First, we will discuss it will help improve your physical health, second, to help improve your mental health, and third, to help improve your sleep patterns. Let's begin by first looking at how limiting excessive cell phone screen use can improve your physical health. According to a September 2024 Liaquat National Journal of Primary Care 2025 article entitled The Hidden Risks of Cell Phone Addiction by author Dr. Muhammad Ashar Khan and Dr. Ahmad Khan, graduates of Liaquat College of Medicine and Dentistry in Pakistan, states that in the last few years, mobile phones have transformed dramatically from simple communication devices to versatile multitasking tools, making them highly dependable for users. The article goes on to say that excessive cell phone use can lead to a sedentary lifestyle, increasing the risk of obesity, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, which are major risk factors for cardiovascular morbidity. Excessive uses of cell phone use can also cause problems with posture and weakened vision. The Journal of Education and Health Promotion, which is a peer review, open access journal in nutrition, medicine, nursing, rehabilitation, dentistry, and health psychology, further supports the idea that limited excessive cell phone screen use can improve your physical health. In a January 2026 article entitled The Hazards of Excessive Screen Time Impacts on Physical Health, Mental Health, and Overall Well-Being. The article states that eye strain, also known as computer vision syndrome, is a common condition caused by prolonged exposure to computer screens, smartphones, and other digital devices. The other symptoms of computer vision syndrome are headaches, blurred vision, dry eyes, neck, and shoulder pain. In the newspaper article written by the Times of India, published February 2017, titled Phone Affecting Sleep Patterns, written by city-based psychiatrist Dr. Ram Ghulam Razan, states how using cell phones for extended periods of time can lead to issues such as headaches, ear, eye aches, and stress. A more serious health issue, such as cancer, due to levels of radiation emitting from cell phones.
Now that we have looked at the physical health aspect, I want to discuss how limiting your cell phone use can actually improve your mental health. An increase in cell phone users has also caused a rise in social media consumption. An article titled The Hidden Risk of Cell Phone Addiction, a Rising Concern for Health, shows that there is a direct correlation between anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem with social media use, which can lead to suicidal deaths among adolescents. If we take a second and look at the graph, we can see that people who spend more than 4 hours of screen time, which is shown in the orange, often have more depression and anxiety symptoms than their counterparts that use social media for less than 4 hours per day. As you can see, it's almost double the amount of symptoms that you're having if you're using more social media throughout the day. It's also found that beauty ideals displayed in social media have increased body dissatisfaction among young women, which leads to every sort of eating disorder out there. MBBS students, a medical degree granted by medical schools, found that there was a lack of concentration, stress, depression, and hormonal disturbances because of using your cell phone in bed. A study conducted by the School of Physiotherapy and Exercise Science at Curtin University, a top-ranked, internationally recognized institution in Australia specializing in health, exercise, and rehabilitation education, found that frequent mobile phone uses among teenagers predicted a higher chance of depression and anxiety system, as well as higher hyperactivity and inattention, along with contact problems. Since we have taken a look at first how excessive cell phone use can affect your physical health, second, how limited cell phone use increases and improves your mental health, let's also take a look how it also affects your sleep pattern. According to a newspaper article titled Phone Affecting Sleep Patterns, published by the Times of India, written by Dr. Ram Ghulam Razan, a professor and psychiatrist with over 46 years of experience, states that the overall use of cell phones before bedtime disrupts natural sleep patterns. This will cause sleep deprivation, which can lead to issues like obesity, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. The use of cell phone usage during bedtime has even resulted in a loss of sleep, abnormal sleeping experience, and it affects your overall circadian rhythm.
Additionally, in the article Screen Time published by two research from the company EBSCO, a research database used for medical research resources, healthcare, and various libraries, both Alison Hahn, a doctor of philosophy, and Elena Propin, a master's degree graduate, stated that the blue light that bounces off a cell phone affects an uninterrupted sleep. So as you can see here, exposure to blue light from a cell phone suppresses the hormone melatonin, which is necessary for healthy sleeping patterns and causes you to feel sleepy. In bright light, more melatonin is produced, while in darkness, less melatonin is produced. Excessive screen time at night increases brain activity, which causes abnormal sleeping patterns, which affects REM sleep, which is also known as rapid eye movement sleep. This is when the body is in deep sleep. This is why it is recommended to turn off screens an hour before bed. Hopefully, you have learned a little more about why limiting excessive cell phone screen time is necessary. As you can see here, cell phone usage causes constant hours of scrolling, poor sleeping cycles, back pain from constantly looking down all the time, increased stress, anxiety, and depression, reduced human contact, vision problems, lack of attention and focus, and the exposure to harmful radiation, which can lead to cancer. In conclusion, by looking at the effect of excessive screen time on physical health, mental health, and sleep, it becomes clear that time spent on cell phones should be limited. Through reducing cell phone screen exposure, we are protecting our health and ensuring healthy sleeping habits. Limiting excessive cell phone use is important because it negatively affects many aspects of daily life in major ways. We all spend time on our cell phones, and reducing screen time can lead to noticeable improvements to both physical and mental health, as well as improved sleeping patterns. This makes it very clear as to why limiting screen time is necessary. The biggest question at hand should be at how much longer are we going to let our cell phone screens control us, dictate our every move? At some point, every cell phone battery becomes depleted, and us as humans have hit that point. We need to take back our control, limit our cell phone screen time, and put our health and sleep as a top priority. We need to create a culture of digital mindfulness where we consciously choose how we engage with technology rather than letting it dictate our lives. A good unknown quote we would like to leave off with is, "The screen controls the world, but overuse can disconnect you from yourself."
Hmm. Yeah, I love that ending. Okay. The visuals were great, and you presented them very well and explained them very well. Obviously, practiced that. That was very good with the visuals. Um, any questions?
I don't. Why do you think it's difficult for people to reduce their screen time, even though they know like what the risks are?
I think a big part of it is just because we live in a world where we have digital devices everywhere. I mean, for example, we're currently on one and we're taking class. It's just hard. It's something that it's very difficult to avoid. And if you try to avoid it, you're going to feel like you're missing out or you're just disconnected and you just feel like you aren't current. So it's definitely a battle that you're going to have to pick. You're either going to have to pick the negative effects it can have on you or you're going to have to pick feeling disconnected. It's just something hard to avoid now in this age.
Like any addiction, right?
Yeah.
Any addiction. It's very hard to get over it.
Right.
We
Thank you.
know, like people know, smoking cigarettes is bad, vaping and all that. We know it's bad, right? But people still continue to do it because they're addicted. So probably you might have to seek some other professional help. Okay? Or at least do your own research on things that you can do to help you to wean yourself off of your addiction. Any more questions? Nadine, you got a question? Can you think of one? You're the only person that didn't ask a question like that or answer. Come on, you can
I have
use
a question.
points. Okay, Sadie, let's go.
So you guys talked about blue light, the blue light from your screens and how that would affect your sleep patterns, but a lot of phones and computers, especially Apple products nowadays, have settings that you can turn on towards like nighttime that minimizes the blue tones on your screen. I'm just wondering what you guys think of that. Do you think that's completely futile and just like, or do you think that that could be beneficial at all to helping sleep patterns?
I mean, I definitely think it's a step forward. It's a step in the right direction. I like that Apple is very conscious about the blue lights that their products are emitting. I do think that ultimately just cutting out screen time before bed is the best way to go since you have no chance of getting any blue light in your system affecting your sleep. But it's definitely a step in the right direction.
I also think sometimes having all these great safety features kind of gives you the, oh, but I can then therefore spend more time on my phone. Like the bottom, the bottom line is you got to let your brain rest at nighttime. I mean, the studies show that, calm, quiet, dark, and here we are scrolling away, checking on Instagram, see what everybody's doing before you go to bed. Like, and it still gets your mind and brain still revving and going, so you eventually have to just stop and put it down. Even setting our alarms on our phones. I mean, does anybody have an alarm clock here on their nightstand? I just got one because we're just used to automatically picking up the phone and setting our alarm for the morning, but they're showing that you really actually should have an alarm clock by your bed and just staying away from the phone altogether to help you sleep.
Did anybody come across information regarding how you charge your phone at night and the proximity to your physical being? What did you find?
So I read this study that shows that your phone should at least be across the room from you. So like let's say you have your bed there, it should at least be at least for on that dresser that I have back there. Just because of the radiation it emits, it affects your brain even while you're sleeping. You don't even know it's doing it, but unfortunately it does affect your brain. This is something I've learned a lot about because I remember in elementary school they would talk about it. They would ask us questions about where we charge our devices. But realistically, I think it should be around like 10 to 15 feet away from you at night when you're charging it.
Mhm. Yeah, we all keep it right there at our touch, right? Right there.
Just to add on to that, another benefit of having it 10 to 15 feet away from you is that in the morning when your alarm goes up, you actually have to get up and turn it off. Like you can't just roll over and turn it off. It makes you just get up and moving so you don't go back to bed.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Wait, I have one. So, during your presentation, I think you talked about how social media could affect your hormone. Did you talk about that, your hormones? By chance? Or no?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you did? Okay, so how does it affect, can you go more deep into that? How does it affect your hormones?
Yeah, so basically it goes back to the radiation. The radiation your phone emits, it goes directly into you, especially like you said, if you're sleeping with it in close proximity. All of that goes into you and that disrupts your hormones. I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yeah,
When you're talking
like your
about
brain.
hormones, When you're talking about hormones, are you talking about the melatonin?
Like hormones, like it goes like radiation with your brain and affects your hormones from there, maybe.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you, group 3. Okay, so you did manage to get some other information, different information. But I think the big takeaway is excessive screen time is affecting your mental and physical health in a very negative way. Seems like that's the consensus of the research and what you've all said in your speeches. So, looking overall, you have improved from day one. Okay. If we just take delivery on its own. Now, some of you still are pretty timid. Some of you still are reading way too much. However, I do see an improvement where you're trying to be mindful of that downfall in speaking. Okay, so that's encouraging. You learned a lot of information in these 10 weeks, a lot of information. And it's valuable information that you can take from this classroom setting and plug it right into your daily life. Okay, every day, as we talked about with persuasion, we are persuaded. We even persuade ourselves because we have conversations with ourselves when we make decisions about what we're going to do for the day, okay, or what we're not going to do. So I think the value, okay, of what you're learning is, particularly in persuasion, is that we can persuade people, but we have to be mindful of the manner in which we do it. Thinking that you're going to do it without any research at all is going to be tough because, again, many people want to know, well, why should I listen to you? How do you know so much about this topic? Okay. And you'll find, especially like even with your family members, okay, with your children or your spouse or your parents, you're using some type of persuasion to get them to come around to your way of thinking on things. Okay? And it could be effective or not. But it's up to you on how effective you can be. We've learned in this class the different types of speeches. We've learned how to be effective in our delivery, how it is just as important as the words we are saying and ingesting into our brains. The way we deliver the message is extremely important. And depending on your confidence level, your enthusiasm, okay, how much you've practiced, okay, you're not bumbling or fumbling trying to pronounce words and trying to, because you really never looked at it before. All things like that bring down your credibility. Okay. So I think if you just take a step back, I know every day we're concerned with, okay, this time is due, this is due, this is due, that. But you have to take a step back after you take a class and evaluate what was the message? What did I really learn that I could take away from this to help me in my daily life? They started to put a Walmart in your neighborhood and you don't want it. Now you know how to go to that town hall meeting and convince everybody there that we don't need this Walmart in our neighborhood. Now, I saw a vast improvement on your citations. Okay. Now, one thing I want you to remember about the citations, quoted citations. Always tell us when it was written. If you can't tell us anything, tell us when it was written. Okay? Because if you start telling us stuff from 2007, right, and it's 2026, we're going to say, well, that might not be that relevant right now, right? So that's important for your credibility. Credibility stands high in persuasion as well as informative speaking. Now, we didn't make our own special occasion speech here, but that speech is the speech that everybody in this class is most likely to deliver. Okay? Because it's part of our social and daily lives. Special occasion speeches are like graduation speeches, weddings, showers, retirements, funerals, things that we engage in all the time. And by you taking the time to actually put something together, words and thoughts, and deliver it at one of these special occasions is what makes that occasion so special. It has no monetary value. But the fact that you got up there and you said some kind words about someone, they're going to appreciate that. And it will go a long way. But we can't always rehearse a speech. Sometimes we're forced into impromptu speaking, especially at work and at school. We're forced into impromptu speaking. So this semester, we engaged in a plethora, right, of impromptu speaking. But the first thing you need to understand and grasp, what am I going to talk about? What is that central idea? Okay. And I wonder, have you noticed the, the, the things that you have to address in a speech? And it's in every speech. Number one, what's number one, do you think? Central idea, right? What are you going to talk about? What type of speech am I going to deliver? Okay. You have that central idea. Okay, I got that. If you can't quickly come up with the central idea, start with the specific purpose. Okay, I want to tell them, why they shouldn't look at their cell phones. Okay. Now you can quickly get a central idea together by, okay, so why? Right? Or how? Once you put all of that together, now you have your central idea. Okay? And of course, the central idea is made up of those what? Main points. So when you have this outline structure of your specific purpose, your central idea, your main points, the speech is basically done. Now you just have to fill in all of that supporting material that answers those questions of why or how something's done, right? You all can do that. Whether you believe it or not, you can do it. But it's important that you understand and utilize the rules that I gave you for each of those sections or parts of a speech. You gotta have an introduction. You gotta have a body, and you've got to have a conclusion. Got to start somewhere. And sometimes, especially like in special occasion speeches, it might be as simple as saying hello, telling people your name. Okay. But you need something. You don't want to start right in like Dr. Donahue did. Okay, Dr. Donahue started her speech with her central idea. She had no introduction at all. That wasn't an introduction. She started telling us how you decide what is a person who, how do you decide or determine what makes an outstanding teacher. And she told us that about students, what they say and what the faculty says. Okay. But she had no real closing. Some students said, "Oh well, yeah, she ended the speech and gave us all of that drama and just said the person's name at the end." Well, that's for a speech of introduction that you do that, but that's not required for a presentation, right? For a person that's given an award. So you have to know what are the rules, what are the types, what's permitted, what's not permitted to be effective. Because that's our goal in this speech, in this class, is to deliver an effective speech. Now, most of you were convinced today because you did the same research. We even saw the same slide, right? I think group 2 and group 3 had one of the same slides. So the convincing part is kind of built in when you all are doing the same thing. But when you're not, yeah, you have to work pretty hard to convince people to come around to your way of thinking. It can be done, but it's methodical, it's deliberate, it's repetitive. Okay, those are the things you need to remember. It's not an English paper. Those main points should use the same pattern of wording. It helps the listener to know, okay, she's on to the next main point. Those connectives that connect one idea to another idea, extremely important. That's part of that redundancy. And even though you give a connective, you still have to state it as a main point. Don't just say the connective and then go straight into the supporting material. State the main point. Because that repetition is deliberate. You want the audience to remember what it is you're saying. And what's the best way to remember things? Repetition. After you do it so many times, okay, people catch on. All right. We're at the end now. Next week, test 2 is required. Some of you already did it, and that's fine. Okay. I will say that I think you all did a pretty good job. At some point in the middle, I was concerned. Even coming down to the end, I was getting a little concerned. But I think you all have really grasped the concepts in this class, what's expected of you, but you just need a little more practice. Okay, just need a little more practice. And Matt, I want to say you have improved on your delivery. You looked up at us today several times. For most part of the semester, you would not look at us. And you had a little vocal variety today, too. So I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of all of you. All of you. I know it's rough. Sometimes, like I'm pretty direct, right? But you have to put in the work and you will be rewarded for the work. Okay. And the fact that you stayed to the end, because we started out with 17 people in this class, believe it or not. Okay. Some of them dropped out as soon as they got that welcome letter and saw that syllabus. They were like, oh, no, that's not for me. Right. But the fact that you stayed, you endured, you took all of my lectures. Okay. And I'm very proud of you. I'm proud. You made me proud tonight. Okay. So I want to wish you all much success in your continued college journey. And I'll always be here if you need a little assistance on your public speaking. You can always reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you with it. Does anybody want to have any other closing remarks you want to say? Did you enjoy this class? But you're going to find that this is going to come up again in your life. And you're going to say, oh, yeah, Professor told us don't do that. Well, Professor told us we better do it. And if nothing else, just put forth as much confidence and enthusiasm as you can muster up, because it goes a long way, right, towards convincing people that you know what you're talking about. And even if what you're saying is true, if you seem timid and like you don't really know, then people are going to deduct you don't really know. It might not be true, but that's what they're going to think. Right? Okay. Be safe. Be bold. And thank you again for staying to the end. It means a lot that you didn't quit. Enjoy your summer. And if you have any questions, you can always email me. But it's basically a wrap. I enjoyed the ride. Good night.
Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good summer.
You Professor, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
for
Thank you,
you.
Professor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Have
Thank
a
you.
good summer.
You too. Thanks.
Peace out.
I'm going to have a good summer because I'm not teaching this summer.
Oh, right. Oh, thank you, Professor. I'm so
Welcome. You're
appreciate
welcome.
you.
It's a pleasure
Yeah.
having you in
I
the
think I have improved, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You have
it's a big
slowed
failure for
down a
me.
lot. Like at first, you were speaking so fast,
Thank
but
you.
you slowed it down
Yeah,
over the course of the semester. And it was much more interesting about, what you were saying and less distraction. Because if you start speaking too fast with an accent, then everybody can't understand it. That's a distraction, right?
yes.
but slowing it down really helps.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you, Professor.
All
I'm
right.
very appreciate for you.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm good.
yes. Enjoy your course. Yeah,
I will.
very,
I
very
love
enjoy.
teaching.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, good night.
Good night.